Chat, one of my saddest, like, regrets, I don't know if I could call it a regret. Like, one of the things I've always been really sad about, or, like, felt a disconnect with other people about, is that I grew up in Florida. Central Florida, to be exact. Usually, like, around the Tampa area. Which meant that I never once saw snow. I never got a snow day. I never got to, like, throw snowballs, or have a snowball fight, or build a snowman, or an igloo, or anything like that. I never got to like see or play in snow when I was growing up. And the first time I ever saw snow was when I was 14 years old in Colorado. That was also the last time I saw snow. Up close, that is. I've seen it up on the tops of mountains from like me being on the ground, like it being like miles away up the mountain. But I've not seen snow up close, like close enough that I could even touch it, or like spit on it, to be honest, like since 2014. So it's been a while. And one of the reasons I'm excited to move up to Seattle is that it snows in Seattle, guys. I don't care if it doesn't snow often. It snows at all, okay? I've lived in my whole life in places where it does not snow at all, ever. I'm so excited to move somewhere where I can fucking see snow. You ain't missing much if you have to drive in it. I don't drive. I work from home. And especially once I've got a quail coop going on in my backyard in Seattle, I imagine that I can mostly just rely on like eggs if I need to delay a shopping trip, or anything like that. And you can get food delivered and all that. Like I don't think it's gonna be a big issue, right? I can just shovel my driveway, which I'll have no issue doing. It'll be fun for me, and the like city does the rest with the street. Regardless, though, with that said, I saw this video pop up in my recommended recently. Now, I'm a big fan of CGP Grey. I like his videos a lot. That is who we're about to watch. I really cannot recommend his channel enough. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and drop the link to this video in my chat here because I do not like watching people's videos on stream uncritically. Like, if I watch someone's video on stream and it's a critical analysis, like I'm responding to them, I'm like dunking on them or like breaking down their video, then I'm not really so concerned about shouting it out and making sure that I'm like giving it proper credit, because that's very explicitly fair use. But if I'm going to react to somebody's content, even if I am giving substantial commentary, I think that teeters on the edge of fair use, if not isn't even on it. So I like to very heavily shill the content that I'm reacting to, even if the content creator that I'm reacting to is magnitudes larger than I am. I love CGP Grey videos. I think they're very, very good. One issue I do have with them is that recently, this isn't like a big issue, it's just a small gripe. I do think he plays a little bit into this overreactionary, like hyper-Puritan, anti- Rings of Power hate brigade. He made a video a long time ago breaking down the lore of the creation of the Rings of Power in Tolkien's universe. I'm a huge fan of Lord of the Rings and Tolkien, if you guys don't know. I've read the Lord of the Rings books twice, I've read The Hobbit like 12 times, and I've read the Silmarillion once, and I've read the Unfinished Tales halfway through. I'm sorry, but I could not finish the Unfinished Tales, and I think I also read Morgoth's Ring. But that would have been when I was like 10. I had like the stack of fucking Tolkien material when I was younger, and I read through all of it. It was tough, but I was just such a massive Lord of the Rings fan that I just stuck to it, and like, I loved it, right? There's a reason they're called Unfinished. Yeah, regardless, though. Basically, he did a video breaking that down, and he did this, like, he re-edited the video to be relevant for the show, the Amazon Rings of Power show that's come out, which the right has jumped on as being this woke propaganda, like the woke Amazon is pushing the agenda in Lord of the Rings by making black dwarves and women do things and stuff like that, right? And I saw CGP Grey jumped on board with the hate wagon before the show even came out, by the way, by posting probably one of the most ironic quotes I have ever fucking seen in all of I fucking hate when I see this quote. What is the quote? Okay. Tolkien quote Evil. Actually, no. We'll find it on the fucking CGP Grey video. I just have to do this little stun lock, okay? I don't care what anybody says, okay? I have to acknowledge this point because it is used so often by people who should know better than to use this argument. Where is it? Where's his old videos? There it is. There it is. Okay, I found it. Look at this. The shadow that bred them can only mock. It cannot make. Not real new things of its own. So this quote is in reference to, is very often used, as well as other versions of it, is used very often to say that like Amazon has like warped and like bent Lord of the Rings and Tolkien's lore into some like mutilation of Tolkien's memory, and he'd be rolling in his grave and it's disgusting and horrible and yada yada yada. They had a lot of like moral weight to it, and it's very larpy and cringe. And I hate that CGP Grey jumped on board with this, but what's really, really stupid is that someone who knows Tolkien should know better than using this argument, because the only creature, the only entity in all of Tolkien's universe of the Lord of the Rings, of Arda and Middle-earth and everything, and that cosmology, is the one Eru Iluvatar. That is the entity in that universe that can do quote-unquote true creation, as in creating something from nothing. All other beings in existence below him, which is everything else, are only capable of, at best, sub-creation, which is like turning a thing into something else, like turning a metal ore into a sword, or crafting the Silmarils, which I believe were sub-creation, or like, yeah. So it doesn't even work because all of, like, some of the, like, Feanor was not capable of creating anything new. Feanor, the creator of the Silmarils, could not create. He could not do true creation. So even as a Tolkien fan, that pissed me the fuck off, because these people, if these people knew their Tolkien, they'd know better than to use that quote. Because only the one in that lore can do that. Though I guess they'd probably argue that, like, Eru Iluvatar is a stand-in for Tolkien, though Tolkien would disagree with that because he was a Catholic, and the cosmology of the cosmology of his world was very, very much influenced by his Roman Catholic faith, and so initially he wanted the Valar to be more like gods, like gods, like from the sort of, like, I think it was Norse roots that he was pulling from. But he, it didn't really mesh well with his religious beliefs, so he ended up adapting it more so that, like, the Valar, which in their, like, inspirations were like gods and demigods, were seen more like archangels in his setting. Oh my god, this was an insane fucking stun lock. Regardless, though, putting that aside, putting that very small gripe with CGP Grey aside, all right? And if you guys want to clip that and send it to him, you may, okay? You may. A video of his popped up in my recommended today called A Crime Against Childhood. And I watched the first few seconds of it, and as somebody who never got to see snow growing up, even though I never got to have the experience this video discusses, I am fucking disgusted. And I think that the main reason I want to watch it and why I think it's relevant for me to cover it, like as a political commentator, is that it has to do with the American school system, the American education system. And I think it makes a very compelling argument against a trend that seems to be, being pushed by American school boards. So, A Crime Against Childhood. Let's check it out. Actually, first, Pog, let's start.
Snow days. There is no greater human joy than waking up to a winter wonderland that, with its frosty magic, also canceled school. Well, no more, because schools are canceling snow days. Some school systems have decided distance learning has worked so well, might as well keep those tools around.
All right, chat. I know that's him being sarcastic. People commented on the video, not knowing, but I know he's being sarcastic here. Distance learning has not worked well. Hasn't, like, what percentage have the average grades of the American student with distance learning dropped? Hasn't it dropped? Isn't it like a 40% drop in grades for students with because of distance learning? It's like pretty significant, right? Like, grades have tanked. Kids are really far behind since COVID started because of the distance learning. It's just not very Very, very mixed results, at best mixed results, NASDAQ. At best mixed results. One whole year of learning has been lost. I don't think... I was homeschooled in basically the same way that they do the distance learning, and I spent a lot of time with like a little window open on the corner of my screen, hiding it from my mom, like watching YouTube videos when I was supposed to be doing schoolwork, because what the fuck do you expect? like what do you expect? Like bro, like dog, what do you expect? Anyway.
This way, when there's too much snow to physically drag students in, we can still mentally drag them in. What kind of villains are you? The worst kind.
Bro, what a perfect way to illustrate that feeling. You know, like, what? Like, how can you be that fucking cruel? Like, how much of an evil fucking piece of shit do you have to be the guy that checks off the box that says, yep, we're taking snow days away from these kids? Demons in human skin? It's like, did they have childhoods?
The kind doing something for your own good. You don't want students to miss learning, do you? We all agree that each and every individual day of school matters to keep kids from falling behind.
Bullshit. And be honest, guys, we could do with overhauling our entire education system, okay? Like, I feel like half the shit we learn that's mandatory should be elective, and half the shit and most of the stuff that we don't learn should be mandatory. You know? Like, I feel like there's a lot of you know, I feel like we probably don't need to learn. Listen, English class is nice, but do I really need to write 500 papers per school year after reading some random book and doing a book report on it? Is that helping me improve my reading skills? Or is that just busy work? It feels like it's just busy work. Quotas that need to be met. Fuck cursive. I never got to learn cursive. That's the crazy thing, too. Is that, like, there's not a lot of standard... Like, I was in school at the age where they teach cursive and typing during this, like, crossover period where they weren't teaching cursive and they weren't teaching typing. So I wasn't taught either. So I can't really do cursive too well, but I can do cursive better than I can type. So yeah. I really do plan to teach myself how to type properly once I'm in Seattle. I gotta get myself like a nice desk and chair set up so I have like the leveling with my arms and everything, and I'm excited. It's all to prepare for being a wage slave. It's all pointless. Well, that's the thing, Jaxie. I actually don't think that's true. I don't even think that our school system does a good job of preparing us of being wage slaves. That's the problem. Like, our school system teaches you shit that would be useful if we actually lived in a society in which, like, any of that knowledge was useful to the average person. They don't teach you anything useful being a wage slave. Like, let's be honest. The average wage slave probably isn't using any skill, like, probably isn't pulling from any skill they learned past 5th grade. Come on. Half the jobs out there is anybody pulling any skill that they learned beyond 5th grade. Come on. Or any knowledge. Probably not. Probably not. I don't even think that our school system does a good job of preparing us to be wage slaves. They don't even teach us how to pay taxes. You know, wouldn't it be good for the state to teach students how best to give them money? I think that'd be a good idea. Right? Office jobs do? Ah, yes. One example. Thank you very, very much. No, I am clearly there are plenty of examples of jobs that do not require you to pull that recently in terms of your school education. Yeah, like the most I ever end up using is like algebra. Obviously, I get a bit of use out of history and like social studies and stuff, but still. All right, back to it.
We don't all agree. This is horrifying. Internet, where are you? Where's hashtag save snow days to protect us? Shh, we don't need that. No, you cannot take away the human experience of being on a dark winter's night, unable to face the next day. Then, when thin clouds appear on the horizon, giving you faint hope, you beg with all of your belief to make it happen. And when it does happen, it is the most epic experience of low to high, combining the triple joys of snow and freedom and getting out of something that you totally shouldn't have.
Dude, I never got snow days, which is sad. But the closest thing I got was when I was on the swim team, okay? Just because I was a decent swimmer does not mean that I enjoyed swim practice. I hated it. I hated the fact that when, swim practice was 2 hours long. I spent no less than 30 minutes of that 2 hours holding my breath. Because that's how swimming works. And that's how swim practice works. I don't care who you are. Holding your breath for 30 minutes out of 2 hours is real rough, especially when you're doing strenuous physical activity during it every day. So, as you can imagine, there are some days where it's like, I am not feeling practice today. I am just really, really not feeling it, right? There are many days like that. And those were the days that I would hope and fucking pray with my fucking fingers crossed that we would see and hear see a big, cloud coming over the distance. That's what I got reminded of there. The dark clouds coming in the distance around, 5 p.m. when swim practice would start. And the dark clouds would roll in, and we'd listen. We'd listen come on, come on, come on. And then, boom, you'd hear the thunder. Varsity or JV? Varsity. I got a varsity letter. I think I got, I got 2 varsity... Okay, hold on. Remind me of how it works. I think I got 2. Because you get, a varsity... There's, a thing that you get first, and then you get the letter, right? Because I remember I got a thing first, and I was, disappointed that you don't get the varsity letter first. You get the jacket first, maybe, and then you get the letter. I think my jacket's, back in Florida or something. It's probably in my closet. I did not really... I wasn't attached to it or anything. I never got any days off except for the regular teacher work days and stuff, yeah. Anyway, so basically the dark clouds would come rolling over the fucking, over into the distance, and then we'd just be begging. Everybody there was doing this, including me, just begging, come on, come on, come on, come on. You heard the fucking thunder. You heard the lightning. And if the thunder or lightning didn't hit first, then the clouds would go over, and you'd hope and hope and hope, and then finally the clouds would break, and it would start raining. And you wanted it to rain hard, because if it rained hard enough that the lifeguards couldn't see the bottom well enough, they had to shut down the pool, which means we all got to get out of the pool, dry ourselves off, get dressed, and do dry lands, which is literally where we just got to go inside into the gym and just work out with our friends. We got to, do laps around the gym, we could lift weights, we could literally just do calisthenics, and we got to talk to our friends while doing it. And best part was, we could breathe while we were doing it. God... that's a lot to appreciate when otherwise you'd be swimming and having to hold your breath and do laps, So that's the closest that I can really relate to is when it would rain and thunder on a day where swim practice was going to happen and we'd have dry lands, or that it would get canceled. Sometimes it'd be so bad, if the storm was happening before swim practice started, and it was going to be projected to go all the way into the night. Sometimes the coach would just call ahead and say, don't come to practice. But if it was a Friday, which is when we did dry lands, he'd just say, whole. The best one was when it was raining on the way to practice, and I'd just be sitting there in the car I'm so excited for dry lands. Oh, yeah. And, it's so great. As a former lifeguard, I love swimming when it rained that hard. Core memories here. Yeah, this person, because you get to close the pool, but, you still get to swim if you want. It's just that the people swim, the patrons don't get to. Yeah, that's the closest that I can relate to having a snow day. But God, am I excited! Hey, chat, can I use it snowing as an excuse not to stream? Can I take snow days off of stream once I move to Seattle?
There are only so many days of such great glory in a human life. But, say some school boards, that number of days will be 0 forever. And I fear this snow day cancellation pestilation will spread because the school system, with its bureaucracies and committees, loves its checkboxes checked, its percentages maxed.
It's going to be like a virus. Once one school board or two has adopted this policy, it's going to spread. And you know where it's going to spread most? In conservative districts. CGP Grey doesn't usually get political with his videos, but I can tell that he's generally left-leaning. But it'll absolutely be the more Republican right-wing districts that push for this. I guarantee it. They're going to be the ones that try to push to cancel snow days. Like, I remember unanimously, like, the school board, when, like, being in school when a Republican was president sucked so much more than after Obama got elected. And I didn't really make the correlation or the connection until I got older. That, like, oh, Obama made substantial changes to America's education system. Like, I was, like, living under a Bush education system from, like, all of elementary, mostly. And then later in elementary, Obama got elected and things just got better, you know? Our AC broke in my school once when it was almost summer break, 80 outside with extra humidity. Everyone was suffering. I couldn't imagine no AC in school generally. Sounds terrible. Yeah. Evangelicals want a 7-day work week. Insane. What about Sunday? Obama. The food got way worse under Obama? I don't agree. The Bush No Child Left Behind Act was designed to make children hate school. It was so fucked. I hated it so much. Oh my god, it was so fucking bad. Jesus. God. That fucking sentence, no child left behind, made my fucking... I was conditioned for that sentence to make my fucking skin crawl from a young age. Oh no, like, Michelle Obama, like, pushed to make school lunch healthier, and it was a good thing. I don't care what you say. See, even with my kid being online schooled, we watch for Burnout and give her breaks as long as she gets work done. That's good, Tissa. I'm glad to hear that. I always get so fucking... Dude, sometimes somebody who's a parent will like, mention being a parent in my chat, and it's just like... I don't know why it makes me feel so... I don't know why it humbles me so much. There's just something about it that humbles me, you know? Like, somebody who has gone through... the immense life experience, like such an immense life experience that I couldn't even like think about like endeavoring on, thinks that my content is worth watching and that my words are worth listening to. It's very humbling. I don't know. Anyway, let's resume.
And its attendance punch cards punched. Snow days mess all that up, so the system, wielding the ultimate banality of evil, cancels snow days. Look, I'm just gonna say it. This is a crime against childhood. Yes, yeah. I am going to play the Won't Somebody Please Think of the Children card. Teenagers, I know you hate this, but it's in your best interest to just roll with it. But seriously, protecting snow days is what this card was made to play. Those who want to...
Yeah, like, the Won't Somebody Please Think of the Children thing it's really unfortunate because the right has historically, and won't somebody please think of the children is very much a conservative thing. The character who says it in The Simpsons that they're parodying is literally the wife of the town priest and is like a conservative, like, trad wife type, right? They're literally making fun of like the like moms against video games, satanic panic kind of thing in that episode, with that character. The right basically weaponizes society's inherent common sense, right? A lot of people want to feel like they have common sense, that they're smart enough, well-reasoned enough, logical enough to kind of like figure out the world on their own. Sure, they need a little bit of evidence and a few facts and some learning, but for the most part, they think that they want to feel like they're smart enough that they can figure things out on their own. And they definitely want to feel like they've got it figured out, or mostly figured out at least. So I feel like what the right likes to do is say, oh, this thought or idea that feels like common sense, let's weaponize that for political purposes, right? So for example, think about it like this, right? Sex and gender are like verifiably not the same thing, right? Like the unanimously all the fields and experts that specialize in any of this, from sociology to like any things involving psychology to things to fields involving biology. They all agree sex and gender are not the same thing. This is just an established fact, right? And yet the right has freely rode on the common, assumption, the common sense assumption that sex and gender are the same thing, and that there is man and woman, and that's all there is. That vagina equals woman, and that penis equals man. That is the very common sense, type of, logic that they like to appropriate, right? Appropriate, right? And it feels like it's right. It feels like it makes sense. You feel really smart when you believe that kind of stuff because it feels like, yeah, obviously, sex and gender are the same thing. This is what I believed my entire life. Those SJWs are crazy for saying otherwise. But the data, the studies, the facts, the science, the experts, the consensus says otherwise. But it doesn't matter what the truth is. If liars have the money, the power, and the platform to make their lies the new truth, then it doesn't matter. Nobody goes out of their way to see what the scientists are saying. I do. It's my job to do it. But the average person who's actually formulating their political opinions doesn't do that. They watch their favorite news show or their favorite right wing or their favorite political pundit. They have them boil down every situation, all of the news, everything that's happening into very digestible political opinions and very digestible phrases and slogans they can recite and repeat over and over again, right? That's what most people do. They don't actually, quote unquote, do their own research, even if they say they do. So yeah, that common sense type of messaging really does work on a lot of people in our society, and the right is very, very, very good at appropriating that kind of stuff. So won't somebody think of the children, like wanting to make sure that kids are doing okay and there's nothing in society hurting kids, is absolutely a valid desire, but the right takes that very valid desire and weaponizes it against things that are not bad, such as being gay, violent video games, rock and roll, comic books. I could go on, but yeah.
Cancel snow days should be forced to look into the wide, excited eyes of a little girl waking up to experience her very first snow day and tell her, no, you can't play outside. Why? Because it's super important that today, right now, you learn about what a newspaper front page in England 300 years ago thought was important. And you also must know the French conjugation of the verb to have fun. Je m'amuse, tu t'amuses, nous nous amusons. This.
Okay, in my experience in Florida, it was Spanish that they'd make you learn. I took Spanish, but yeah.
This is what matters. If you can do that while thinking you are doing good, you are a heartless monster extinguishing the light of a child.
Bro, that's just such a sad imagery, dude. It's just such a fucking... It's not even an accurate imagery, though, if I'm being honest, though. Because, the kids all look bored and upset, and so does, her, and, it's snowing outside and she wants to play and everything. And the school board suit, the soulless school board suit who literally has a demon coming out of his shadow, it seems, whose shadow is morphing into a demon. I like that. The teacher would look bored too, honestly. I really don't believe the teachers want to be there teaching students on snow days. I think the teachers get it. It really is the superintendents and the school board. The school board and the school's staff are not the same entity. The school staff are typically subservient to the school board. The school board are a cold committee of suits that determine policy in a school district. I don't even think the teachers would be on board with this.
A child who, while on their kiddie conference call with their ickle headset, listening to a teacher tell them fractions are fun too, will resolve the cognitive dissonance by deciding the whole world is pointlessly cruel, and with a sigh say, this is the way it is. This.
Fuck, this hits deep. Okay, hold on. Let me rewind this because I want to play it completely uninterrupted, and then I want to add to it.
conference call with their ickle headset, listening to a teacher tell them fractions are fun too will resolve the cognitive dissonance by deciding the whole world is pointlessly cruel, and with a sigh say, "This is the way it is. This is how it will be. Humanity is subservient to checkboxes." No, this...
So, I think that... So we've seen that, like, there's pretty unanimous agreement among psychologists that, like, Gen Z is, like, the most suicidal generation ever. Is that not, like, an agreed upon stat? That Gen Z is the most suicidal generation, at least in a very long time? And I think that has a lot to do with where the education system is at nowadays. It feels like it's worse than it's ever been, you know? Like, from the outside looking in even, you know? I've not been in school for 5 years? Really? Yeah. Holy shit. Almost 5 years. Damn. God. I'm getting old, chat. Oh, no. Yeah, like, even looking back, like, it feels like it's getting worse. It does. It really does feel like it's getting worse. And I have a feeling that the way that a lot of young Gen Z is feeling about, like, this just misery, just like they're under the weight of everything, like this gray world, is really, like, priming them for radicalization. Now, it could prime them for radicalization to the left, though right now, it seems like it's mostly radicalizing them to the right, especially the young boys. They seem to be watching a lot of Andrew Tate on TikTok and deciding that the cause of all their problems is women. Yeah, I do feel like the way that, like, Gen Z and just generally our society's youth are just made to be miserable and just exist in a education prison 5 days a week, I do think it leads to a lot of the problems that we've seen in our youth. Zan, women be shopping? True.
Shall not pass. Don't cancel snow days. Cancel killjoy committees. Hashtag save snow days.
Yeah. True. Hashtag save snow days. When did this come out? May 10th, 2021. Wow, this is an old one. Did we do it? Are snow days saved? Are snow days saved? Did we do it? I never thought I'd see CGP Grey more passionate about anything than he is about hexagons. Fucking true, dude. This man loves his hexagons. He really does. He needs to do more Middle Earth lore, okay? Do more Tolkien lore. I dare you. All right. Go subscribe to CGP Grey. Fantastic channel, amazing content. If you are not watching him, you are really missing out on some of, like, the best content on YouTube. It's well, like, edited, well voiced, well researched, very well researched, well animated. It's just damn good entertaining content. And there is a hell of a high quality backlog for you to watch if you have not watched this channel. That video ruined hexagons for me. They should have made... No, that video does not ruin hexagons. That video buffs hexagons, okay? It does the opposite. Anyway, if you enjoyed my video, then please consider leaving a like. It really does help out my video, the channel, and me a lot more than you even realize. You see, every time you like my video, it forces YouTube to push my content more in the algorithm, which means more viewers, more subscribers, and that's just generally better for me, so I really do appreciate it. And of course, if you want to support me by following my social medias, of which they are all linked down below in the description, and you may do so whenever you like. I got my Instagram, my Twitter, my fan Discord, TikTok, all of that. And finally, if you want to support me financially and you've got the money for it and you don't need it for anything else, as you should never donate to me or any other streamer if you can't afford it, then you can donate, subscribe, or gift a sub to me on my website, xanderhall.com/live. Or you could support me on YouTube, Twitch, Streamlabs, Stream Elements, or even through Patreon. Links, of course, in the description. But with that said, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and have a good one.